Everyone, welcome to our Hawke's Bay Regional Council Extraordinary Meeting. We have one speaker who we're waiting for. Hopefully he'll join us throughout this item before we finish. Who would like to start us with our karakia? Councillor Roadley. Thank you.
Te taua mai I runga, te taua mai I raro, te taua mai I roto, te taua mai I waho. Kia tau ai te mauri tū, te mauri ora, ki te katoa, haumie, huie, tai hie.
Thank you, Councillor Roadley. Housekeeping for today's meeting. This meeting has been live streamed on Council's Facebook page and recorded for viewing at a later date on our YouTube channel. In the event of an earthquake, drop, cover and hold. If the shaking is long or strong, when shaking subsides, leave the building through the nearest exit and proceed immediately towards Napier Hill, along Dalton Street to Tiffin Park, continuing up the steps to Cameron Road. If an emergency alarm sounds, immediately evacuate the building through the nearest exit and proceed to the assembly area on the grass at the corner of Dalton and Voltaire Streets. And our toilets are located down the hallway outside the chamber entrance. We move to conflict of interest declarations. Are there any conflicts in today's extraordinary meeting? None. Confirmation of minutes from our last council meeting on 30th of April. Do we have any changes or corrections to be made to that? If not, can I please have a mover and a seconder to receive those minutes, please? Councillor Sophie Sears and Councillor Roadley. Thank you. All those who agree say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Our apologies, we have Thompson as an apology. Are there any further apologies? I'm happy to move. Councillor Roadley, second. All those who agree say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. We move on to the hearing of submissions of our annual plan. So what we might do is invite the team up to present the paper, and hopefully our one submitter who would like to be verbally heard, Stuart Taylor, joins us throughout this paper.
3.
2 have cancelled, so we just have Stuart Taylor. Kia ora, Desiree.
Tēnā koutou katoa. So I would largely take this paper as read. Attached to this cover paper was the full set of submissions, which you are asked to receive and consider in preparation for the deliberations, which are scheduled for next Wednesday. There were 99 submissions in total for both the annual plan and the regional public transport plan. There was some overlap in those submissions, and they're all attached for you to read in preparation. And also the paper covers the consultation process that we went through. You will remember that it ran for 5 weeks from the 31st of March to the 2nd of May. We really did try to tailor the consultation to be fit for purpose for this annual plan and leave space for bigger conversations. We did write to the, I think 1,100 of the most affected ratepayers with a direct letter and a flyer branded the same as the annual plan, and encouraged them to go. So it had some information and encouraged them to go online and seek further information and to submit, and that did drive some submissions, so that was reasonably effective. The comms team ran some advertising in Hawke's Bay Today and in the Wairoa Star, and some digital adverts, including Facebook. As you know, the Regional Public Transport Committee had their hearing earlier this week,
Friday last
week. And they have done a lot more engagement. So they did have more submitters to their hearing. And the committee will make a recommendation to this council to adopt the plan. Happy to take any questions?
Yeah, and will that be at the same time as our annual plan adoption?
Yes.
So next week, Wednesday.
So no, the committee will consider, they'll have their own delibs and then they'll make a recommendation to the council meeting on the 25th of June.
Yes.
So you'll be adopting the plan
Yes.
and the public transport plan and the annual plan on the 25th of June.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. Councillor Williams, would you like to add any more from the views of the Transport Committee?
I was just thinking of a shout out, as people call it, to Russell Turnbull and Bryce Cullen in terms of that engagement. I was briefed on just how many, meetings at various entities from Grey Power through to Taiwhenua, that sort of thing, that they'd been to, and it's just extraordinary. They've literally been pounding the soles off their shoes to try and drum up interest and get right into the places where people who use our bus services can give that real direct feedback, and the feedback we got back on the bus routes and the public transport plan through the submissions was just fantastic. So yeah, big tribute to them. It was a huge amount of work they did, above and beyond really.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Are there any questions for Desiree? Thank you, Councillor Sears.
Kia ora, thank you, Chair. Desiree, there was one particular submission, number 31, that talked about the targeted rate for Mongoro Stream, and I think there is a general confusion around the fact that we're rating, but it's Hastings District, etc. It's a really hard thing to get across. But he makes the point in it that it's targeted, and he doesn't understand why it's targeted rather than being general rates. So the two questions I had were, does Hastings District Council actually rate for other waterways in the same way, or is the Mongoro a particular anomaly for the District Council?
I'll have a go at answering and then maybe the finance team can help. If they were rating for this work, and that they would use DRA1, which is a component of their general rate, and they do rate for stormwater using the general rate.
Yeah, as part of their revenue and kia ora, councillors, as part of their revenue and financing policy, all of their stuff around stormwater and drainage schemes are rated in the area of either District Rating Area 1 or District Rating Area 2, where those schemes reside, and goes out to the general ratepayer that way.
That's right, they are targeted to the areas.
The costs for a scheme are located purely within the rating area where that scheme resides.
Exactly. So the answer to that submission particularly is that it's being rated exactly in line with all other, which is maybe different to the way we rate, although we target rate 2, but certainly in line with exactly, nothing's been changed, which is what's suggested here. I am right, aren't I?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Hardy.
Kia ora, Chair, and through you for Desi, a simple question, I'm sure there's a simple answer. Index of submissions, we see there's about, I sort of counted them, about 70 to 80 odd submissions there, but the numbering system indicates there might have been 184. Can you please explain?
Sure. Mandy did prep me for that question. There was testing done at the start, and that was accounted for about 40 by the web team and Mandy when she was doing the submission form, and that's just a peculiarity of Woofu, which is the app that we use, that if you start a submission and don't complete it, it clicks over a number. So the same person could have gone in, started their submission, gone in again until they pushed submit. It's counted them 3 times. So they're incomplete submissions. It's counting incomplete submissions. So there's 2 things. There's testing and incomplete submissions.
Okay, thank you. Just to follow up on that, do we know that are we capable of knowing whether those are incomplete submissions that then get through, or that they're people that tried and gave up because it was all too difficult?
Yeah, good question. We can see who submitted and didn't, who started and didn't submit a submission, and we have emailed those people and encouraged them to resubmit. Yeah.
Was it a large number? Or?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, Mandy was, I would say it's like 20 or 30.
Thank you.
And it did drive some more submissions by following up and encouraging them to do it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Williams.
Yes, look, a question just to signal I'd be assisted by this being addressed in the deliberations report. It's a point made by Federated Farmers in relation to the UAGC limit. They submit that they're sceptical about the purpose of this increased flexibility and refer to a downward trend so that UAGC can be reduced to below 20%. There's been a change for public transport rating to a SUIP. I'd just like to understand exactly what our UAGC threshold in our long-term plan is, how the public transport rating proposal interfaces or otherwise with that UAGC limit, and what the consequences of that have been for the way rates have been distributed under our proposals, particularly in relation to public transport. And the has there been a consequential change for the general rate as a result of that? So that's the issue. I think it's been raised before, but I'd just like to have a clear picture on that. Not now, unless you can share any light on it now, but in the deliberations report.
Thank you, Councillor Williams.
It is something that we have got and we've put into our deliberations report to actually really fully explain around the UAGC. In terms of the LTP, we had a range of 20 to 30%
Yes.
that we would take uniform targeted rates and the UAGC to be between. Any decrease in that total amount increases the amount of the variable general rate that's charged based on capital value. In moving the some of the public transport rate to a uniform targeted rate, it has meant that we've had to reduce the amount of the general rate into the UAGC to remain within our target. We've kept the current UAGC at about 26.3%, which is as per the LTP and last year. In the deliberations paper, we can say if you wanted to move it to closer to a total of the 30%, what the impact of that
That's great.
would be.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Thank you, Chris. Councillor Sears and Councillor Robley. Thank you. Councillor Sears.
Oh,
Sorry, I wasn't
mine's a
listening.
very quick
Okay.
question. I didn't see a submission from Hastings District Council in particular around Mongoro, is that correct?
That's correct.
And we didn't have any conversation with them around preferences or their knowledge of their community or what they might prefer to see? There was no earlier conversation?
There has been with staff, and it was staff who advised us that how they would rate for it. So that is the basis of our proposal.
At the time.
Okay. Councillor Robley.
Apologies. Thank you, and thanks for that extra work to drive those submissions into mailboxes and things. Great news. Just a couple of points that I noticed. There's some conflicting comments within the submissions. So could you just speak to the total mobility and if it is available for our rural ratepayers, no matter where you live within the rohi, apart from Wairoa, you can access total mobility?
Can I invite Katrina up to answer that?
Or a staff question?
I think the simple answer is that if there is a taxi service in that area that is affiliated with Total Mobility, then they can use it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Curtin.
My question follows on from that, and it's submission 152, Catherine Bayliss, Central Hawke's Bay. The total mobility service is not available to rural people. People in Central Hawke's Bay, so rural people shouldn't be charged. Can you confirm if, in fact, Central Hawke's Bay is serviced by taxi service, and how extensive is it? Is it across the whole of Central Hawke's Bay, or what's its extent?
Can we get Katrina just to respond?
No, Russell's an expert on this because I asked him the same question. I think there were 2,000 trips using it
Yeah.
in the last year in Central Hawke's Bay.
Okay,
So there is
can we just have a response from Katrina, thanks?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, the service is available in Central Hawke's Bay. Councillor Williams is correct. It used about 2,000 trips in the last financial year in Central Hawke's Bay. Desiree is correct. Where there is a service that offers or operates, they can be a partner in total mobility. They have to sign up and become a member of that taxi service, companion services. If there is one available in the rural environment areas, then yes, it will. But that's very rare that happens. So it is generally more in urban areas, but I know that they do operate between, for example, here and Hastings, and a frequent visitor who stops along the way between here and there.
Just a follow-up in terms of our response to submitters. Are we doing a generic response, or would we, in this case, advise the submitter that the statement made is not correct and there is a service? How are we intending to respond to submitters?
We usually do a generic response by topic, so but we can do tailored responses, so we can look to give her a more specific one.
Through the Chair, I'd also add that as a result of consultation on the plan, we've actually had a significant number of interested parties in Central Hawke's Bay now wanting to use the service.
Careful what you wish for,
So,
isn't it?
exactly.
Are there any further questions? You're early, don't worry. Are there any further questions? Thank you, Katrina. Okay, there are none, and unfortunately, Mr. Taylor has cancelled his hearing as well. So we have no hearings for this annual plan. Therefore, we can move on to the recommendations in this paper. Two recommendations: to receive and consider the hearing of submissions of our annual plan, and receive and considers the written and verbal submissions. There have been no verbal submissions. And social media feedback received on our resilience-focused annual plan for 25-26. Okay, please have a mover. Councillor Cooter and Councillor Sears, would you like to speak, Councillor Cooter?
Just briefly to once again thank the staff. This is a tremendously onerous task to pull these submissions together, and you've done a wonderful job. The summaries are excellent, and the analysis is giving us a clear direction. So well done to the staff, but also to the submitters. Thank you for submitting, an important part of our process. We need to move, how many? 184 less double ups. So we need to reflect on that and continue to look at ways to increase participation in the process. But happy to move, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Sears.
Thank you. Endorse Councillor Curtin's comments and note, Desiree, your huge amount of work to create plain English language for our documents. I notice some comments around how difficult it is to understand still, because it's complicated information. But I appreciate the work you put into that, and we need to keep going because it is hard. And I want to pick up on Councillor Martin's comments around the getting out on the transport engagement, and I think we can learn something from that for some of our other pieces as well, because it makes such a difference to turn up where people are gathered, share that information. So very grateful to all the staff, and particularly your team, Desiree.
Any further comments?
Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Foley.
Just to acknowledge all those ratepayers and constituents that did engage. We know there's been a lot going on. There continues to be around consultation and everyone does get tired from it a lot. So just really thank and acknowledge those people that did engage, and just take note of the total mobility example where a lot of our constituents didn't actually know about the service and now do. So perhaps a lesson there for comms to broadcast more about what we do. Yeah. Thanks.
Fantastic. Okay, those two recommendations are on the table. All those who agree say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Chris, and your teams. Well done. Fantastic, team. We will end our extraordinary meeting now, and we'll head into corporate and strategic, in which I'll hand over to Councillor Harding to chair.